Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ask Him send peace and blessings on His beloved and our beloved Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We were reading the chapter, continuing the chapter of, and it has been about a month almost since we were reading this chapter. The book, for those who don't know, is Ahwal al-Qubur, or the Horrors of the Grave, by Imam Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali rahimahullah, compiled roughly about 600 years ago. So of course it contains all the narrations, and he said the narrations related to the grave and the condition of the believers after they die till resurrection are much more than this. Despite that, he's collected into quite a substantial work. So he tried to summarize it. Of course, even this book contains many narrations, mainly that are authentic or near authentic, and then some that are weak. The chains of narrations are weak, and of course those are mentioned there, and ulama put their footnotes and so forth on it. So we're reading the chapter regarding where are the souls of the dead in the barzakh, meaning the life of the grave. Where are the souls of the dead? So he started off with the souls of the Anbiya alayhim salam, then the souls of the Shuhada, and we're in the chapter martyrs, and specifically here in this context, because the ayat al-Quran and so forth, is the martyrs, the shaheeds in battle. There are, ulama have enumerated nearly 70 ways, if we put all the hadiths together, of how a person can become a shaheed, to get the reward of a shaheed, is nearly 70 different ways. Stomach sickness, drowning, burning in fire, etc. But here, when it's talking about shaheed, and I mentioned this last time, it's talking about the shaheed, those who participated in battle, those who faced the enemy and fought the enemy, and they fell in battle, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself says about them, that don't say that they're dead, Allah is providing for them. Now, as for the souls being of the shuhada, there is the majority view is that they are in Jannah. And as the hadith mentioned, that Allah gives them a body, or Allah puts their souls in the necks or in green birds, and they fly in Jannah. There is a view which we'll go through today, that Imam Mujahid rahimahullah, Imam Mujahid is one of the great tabi'een. The Mujahid is one of the students of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He was a student of Ali radiallahu anhu. He's a tabi'i. And then after Ali radiallahu anhu became shaheed, he went to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He read tafsir with Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, who says the father of tafsir, 30 times. He studied the tafsir of the Quran completely with Ibn Abbas 30 times. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, among the Sahaba, is outstanding ulama of the Sahaba. Like Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu, like the four khulafa. There are certain Sahaba, Zayd bin Thabit radiallahu anhu, that are outstanding. They had a school, they used to teach and train the ulama of the tabi'een, the next generation. So Mujahid, he studied 30 times, he studied tafsir with Ibn Abbas, and he already had studied tafsir to Ali radiallahu anhu. I mean, their talab for ilm was the next level. Like it's not that much talab to have for ilm, that you've already studied Ali radiallahu anhu, the door of knowledge, the son-in-law of Rasulullah, the cousin of Rasulullah, the fourth Khalifa. Right? You've got that accolade. But that's not enough. The thirst for knowledge was so much that he went to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu and continued him. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, as you know, he used to stay in Makkah Mukarramah and also in Ta'if. In Ta'if, his masjid was there, his place was there, and he passed away in Ta'if. He's buried in Ta'if. People do all sorts of strange things at graves, but to totally wipe it out like it didn't exist. Like when I went to the mosque of Ibn Abbas, there's no sign to tell you Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu ever came here. There was a man named Ibn Abbas, Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhu, a Sahabi, and he's buried right there. But they hide it like it doesn't exist. This is a problem. My father, rahimahullah, he said something, like people do wrong things. It's like one person steals, you cut everybody's hands off. One person steals, then you cut everybody's hand off. The people in that country don't even know that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. People from that town sometimes don't even know. I went to the place in Ta'if where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he sought refuge. This is what's Ta'if famous for? The most difficult day of the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This, for any Muslim anywhere in the world, we know what Ta'if is famous for. But people in Ta'if, and I was shocked, university educated young man, that everyone becomes a taxi driver in the Mawsum, in the season. So he didn't know where the place, he never heard of it. You know who told us, who guided, is a Kashmiri laborer. He was in overalls, because our people generally, I'm not sure about other people, but especially subcontinent people like all these places. They go there en masse. Sometimes they go a bit over the top as well. But he's the one guide. He became our guide and showed us this is the place, you know. The local there, he took us to the new 30-story tower, the new McDonald's. That's what he gave us a tour of in Taif. I said, Jazakallah khair for showing us all this. I said, but you know your town is only famous for one thing. I know it's embarrassing maybe as a person Taif to know that your Rasul was treated like by your forefathers maybe, Allah alam. But then also the people of the Banu Thaqif, the people of Taif, they became they spread Islam all over the world as well. It's not just that. They also produced Hajjaj al-Thaqafi from Taif as well. But they also produced Muhammad bin Qasim, who spread Islam to the subcontinent, where the biggest bulk of Muslims today live. Population-wise, like a third of the Ummah lives in the subcontinent. If you put all the countries together, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Burma, all this region together, that's, you know, Banu Thaqif has a share in that. So Allah didn't waste the effort of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the day. That tribe became the means of spreading Islam. But anyway, so Mujahid, he studied with Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, one of the shuhada. So when he studied that much, when he gives an opinion in tafsir, when you look in tafsir, Mujahid said this regarding this ayat and this word, then you know that it's coming from Sahaba radiallahu anhu. You know this is not just any tabi'i that's talking. All tabi'in are amazing. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam vouched for the iman, that the people of Jannah, the one who's believed them, the one who saw me and believed them is from the people of Jannah. The one who saw me. And it stops there. So tabi'in have a special place in Islam. And tabi'in, of course, the ones who followed the next generation, they're lesser, but they're also, but the first two categories got a certificate from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nobody else got that. Anyway, so Mujahid says, he had a very strong view. Laysa shuhada fil Jannah. He said the shuhada are not in Jannah. So we already learned the majority view is that they're in Jannah. When you say they're in the souls, their souls are in the green birds and they fly in Jannah and through the balconies and on the cages and on the swings under the arsh, and they are eating and drinking and enjoying and the winds and breeze and flying in Jannah. So this is a view that they are in Jannah. This view is that they're not in Jannah, that there is a view. And there's a reason behind that. That they are not in, but they are provided from Jannah. Rizq is given to them from Jannah. Meaning they're in the vicinity of Jannah. And there's explanations coming, the arguments for that view, which is not the majority view, it's not the stronger view, but it is a view. And he said that they are alive with their Lord, because as the Mujahid says regarding the tafsir, that وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that do not consider the ones who have been killed in the path of Allah. So you know straight away this is talking about a certain type of shaheed. It's a shaheed in battlefield, that they are dead. He said they are alive with their Lord, giving rizq, they're given rizq, sustenance from the fruits of Jannah. And he explained, and they feel the winds, they experience the winds, the breeze of Jannah, but they're not in it. This is a view. And they eat its fruits, but they are not, and the breeze of Jannah reaches them, because the breeze from Jannah goes beyond Jannah. Right? So they fly around Jannah, and the rizq from Jannah is given to them, but they're not in Jannah exactly. And then he gives an argument. There's a riwayah, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الشهداء على طريق بارق من نهر الجنة في قبة أخرى. They're in a river that comes out from Jannah. There's a river on the way to Jannah, or out of Jannah, that flows out of Jannah. And on it there's a green dome, and their rizq is given to them in morning and evening. And so there are other narrations like that where some explanation there about shuhada and so forth. And so in this is maybe, but this is not this is a view that he held. And I think it was more to do with the high, because once you say that people already gone into Jannah, and this is not what is being said, because a person is not entering Jannah like as it's coming after who actually is in Jannah. There's view that Adam alayhi salam is in Jannah actually. He's actually in Jannah. There's views of that. But generally said the souls of the Anbiya alayhi salam in Jannah, the souls of Shuhada are in Jannah. They experience this sort of, and I gave the example last time, if I put on, and this is not, there's no comparison, but maybe just to understand a little bit, if I put on VR goggles, of the other side of the world, and we've tried it, we're not there, but it sort of feels like we're there. And that's a human technology, isn't it? That's a human technology, a human attempt to create the feeling that you're somewhere else. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to do all things. So when they are sort of questioning his view, because some of these things are not absolute. Like I mentioned in this book, there are many core things we've covered. Azab al-Qabr is real. Reward in the Qabr is real. And there's a hadith, the core hadith. But then there's other things that fill up the gap, an understanding of what is waiting in the Qabr. And it makes you desire that you want to go to, if Qabr is like that, you want to go to the Qabr. You want to go to Barzakh as quickly as you can to receive the prelude to your actual reward in Jannah. Like, why would you wait? That's why the week before they read about, the Sahabi radiallahu anhu was eating the dates, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him about Jannah, that you will enter Jannah. So he threw the dates and, he went to the front of the battle until he became shaheed. The next section, we just started today and won't be able to finish it today, but it's about the place of the souls of other than shuhada. So then this is divided into two parts. So other than Anbiya, we already mentioned that briefly, alayhimus salam. Other than shuhada, which we mentioned in detail over the last two sessions, there are two other categories. The ulama have divided Ahlul Taklif or Ghayra Ahlul Taklif. Ahlul Taklif is a fiqhi term, people that are legally obligated. They're mukallaf. Right? For example, baligh, person reach age of puberty, a child is not mukallaf. Right? They're not legally obligated Islamically. They're innocent. They're excused. Right? A person is mentally handicapped is excused. They're not even mukallaf. Salat is not even fard on them. Like a 5-year-old child, Salat, 7 you start teaching them. 5, it's not even mukallaf. Like to even learn it. At 7, parents' responsibility is to teach them. Right? It's not the child's responsibility, it's the parent's responsibility to teach them until the age of 10. And then after 10, of course, you can be more firmer with them. So there's people of taklif that are mukallaf, that are legally obligated, and they're not. So from the ghayru taklif, the people not legally obligated. As I mentioned, also people mentally handicapped. They're excused. They're marfu al-qalam. The pen is lifted from. There's no hisab for them. If they don't pray, there's no requirement for them to do salat. That like the atfal al-mu'mineen, the children of the Muslims, or the babies of the Muslims. فَالْجَمْهُورُ عَلَىٰ أَنَّهُمْ فِي الْجَنَّةِ Across the board, the scholarly view is, across schools of thought and so forth, that they're in Jannah. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he has mentioned that actually there's ijma' on this, consensus, means no disagreement on this. Ijma' is a very strong word to use. So Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimahullah, great imam of his stature, and being one of the late imams, said there's consensus on this, there's no ikhtilaf on this, according to him. Right? وقال في رواية جعفر محمد ليس في اختلاف. And Ja'far Muhammad said that there's no ikhtilaf in this. That they're in Jannah. The children of the Muslim, they're in Jannah. And وقال في رواية ميموني لا أحد يشك أنهم في الجنة. That there's no doubt that they're in Jannah. So these different ways of saying the same thing. Imam Khalal mentioned from Hanbal, who narrates from Imam Ahmad. You know what Khalal is? Khalal. So, you don't know him. No, Khalal, like, ماذا يفعل? يصنع vinegar. He makes vinegar, isn't it? The one who makes the vinegar. Yeah, vinegar, yeah. He's a so Khalal was a great imam in the Hanbali school, and he's the one that basically collected all the fatwa Imam Ahmad and his students. He created like the first encyclopedia. So he's like there's each madhab there's like a critical figure, and he's a critical figure. And he narrated from Hanbal, who narrated from Imam Ahmad. He said, we affirm, Imam Ahmad rahimahullah said, that we affirm that Jannah is created. And he said, we believe that Jannah, we affirm that Jannah and the fire of Jahannam are already created. The makhluqatan, they're already created. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, النَّارُ يُعْرَضُونَ عَلَيْهَا غُدُوًا وَعَشِيًّا. The punishment for people in the grave is that they're presented to the Jahannam morning and evening. So if it wasn't created already, how can they be presented to the fire of Jahannam? Which is there's some groups that believe that it hasn't been created yet. This is for the people of Fir'aun. And he said that the souls of the children of the believers are placed in green birds, and they fly in Jannah, and they're in the care of their father Ibrahim alayhi salam. And from this we understand that Jannah and Jahannam are created. And Imam Shafi rahimahullah has also said that the children or the babies of the Muslims, they're in Jannah. And from the Salaf, from the early Muslims, the first generations of the Muslims, that their souls are in Jannah, as Al-Layth has narrated. Abi Qais gives a chain narration to Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, who said that the souls of the Shuhada are in green birds in Jannah, and in it they fly in Jannah, enjoy Jannah and they fly wherever they like. And the souls of the children of the Muslims are in asafir, sparrows. So there's a different view that they're in birds still, but they're in Jannah. And in it they fly wherever they like in Jannah, and they fly to the lamps or the cages that are hung below the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's mentioned خرج ابن أبي حاتم بإسناده عن خالد بن معدان, narration that indeed in Jannah there's a tree, it's called Tuba. And he said that the babies that die, or the fetuses that die in this dunya, they suckle on that tree in Jannah. And the baby of the lady that loses as a stillborn or a miscarriage, that baby is placed in one of the rivers of Jannah until it grows, until it becomes a full grown person. And another narration mentions, Sahih Muslim is mentioned, when Ibrahim alayhi salam passed away, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, استغفر الله العظيم, when Ibrahim, the Prophet's son, passed away. So his son died in infancy. The kuffar, when they found out, the mushrikeen, they beat drums and celebrated a party. They had a party celebration that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will not have any lineage. Meaning that because he has no sons, in tribal societies to have sons is like you are king. If you have sons, many sons, the more sons that you have, you're like, in the old days, they are, this is generally how they looked at the world was seen. So when the Rasulullah sallallahu passed away, they celebrated. And inna a'tainaka al-kawthar fasalli rabbika inna shani'aka al-abtar. They said Rasulullah sallallahu now cut off, because his lineage, male progeny is finished, then his family is done, and therefore his deen is done and everything's finished. Of course, Allah gave Rasulullah sallallahu millions of sons, sons of Islam. So Ibrahim, he said, indeed, my son Ibrahim, that he said that he will have, because he died while he was still breastfeeding, he said for those babies Allah will provide, like his son, Allah will provide for him a wet nurse that will complete his rada'ah. Anyway, inshallah we'll continue this next week, this section, I believe in the middle. But in summary, the children of the Muslims, they come from the babies and the innocent children that are born and they die in infancy, especially, that they are given, that they go to Jannah. And this is from the category of the believers, other than the Shuhada, whose souls are put in Jannah. So we'll cover the details next week, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and tawfiq. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we pass away, Allah place our souls in Jannah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala mursaleen.